Mm. Mm. Hey, good morning, bruh.
Morning, bro.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Are you okay? That
Mm.
construction is pretty loud, though. I gotta tell you something.
Have one of these before you tell me whatever you want to tell me. Okay? All right? You can take these. Just take them. I don't. Mm. Whew.
There's a new Earl Sweatshirt out.
New Earl Sweatshirt. We get Earl Sweatshirt on a new track called The Mint, featuring Navy Blue and produced by BlackNoise. It is coming off of his new album, Some Rap Songs, of which he also announced today, so that was wonderful. And I think that, just like the last one, the ethos seems to be overall of Earl finding peace with himself, and this one isn't necessarily so completely abstract and almost deformed to a degree in the way that the Nowhere to Go single was. The Mint seems to be a more chill session between Navy Blue and Earl Sweatshirt, who both meditate on how they have tried to achieve peace through positive means. Navy Blue talks about the fact that his father seemed, or he at least subtly references that the way that his father was around him was not necessarily beneficial to his health mentally or emotionally. And he talks about how now his biggest focus is making sure his mom lives at peace and not having to work as hard. And I think any son who has that connection with his mother, if he is so lucky, any family member who has that connection with their mother and is so lucky to have that, always finds themselves kind of wanting to work harder and see their parents basically be at peace, especially their mom. That's someone who birthed you, who raised you, who gave you the first ever modicum of love you would ever get before you grew up and met friends and other family members. So that connection is really deep, especially I'm sure for Navy Blue, as he does say basically he's gonna be working for his mom until dust. And while that does sound kind of like, oh god, he's gonna be like just toiling away for his mother, it's more of a, I am trying to show my appreciation for you by working as hard as possible so you don't have to, because that's what you did for me. In Earl's verse, we get the same similar, not necessarily talking about parents, but again, like this meditation on what has been a struggle for him. He talks about how for 2 years he was missing life and basically trying to find that peace within himself, which is important for him to find, especially as an artist who, like we've stated before, has dealt with a lot of significant issues. Not to mention the current year he's been having is not necessarily something that you would think would birth a positive outlook. And unfortunately, there are some fans who kind of desire that sadder Earl for whatever reason, because they're kind of twisted in that way. But I like the fact that we get an Earl that's fighting to be better. Mention in a quick aside that Earl's flow has definitely evolved from what it used to be. He used to be a lot more fast-paced and a lot more, not necessarily have this swagger flow, but it was very charismatic in the way that he kind of was able to fit and densely pack a lot of details into his lyricism, but using in rhymes and other ways of which to craft those things. Here he's kind of more deliberate and more slow about his flow, and not necessarily worrying about packing them too densely, but instead trying to get across a specific message instead of focusing too heavy on being intensely clever. But he still is, and he's still one of the best lyricists. So don't take his evolution of flow as a means of him regressing. That's trying to find the sunrise and come outside, per se. He on this one talks about Mike. He mentions Mike, who's his sort of protege slash apprentice slash friend that he's been basically imparting advice and wisdom to, taking from his experience and trying to help others, which is really cool in itself. And he also talks about not really promoting weed use, because these type of things can have addictive properties, and people who are not necessarily strong in being able to take it in doses or basically have a certain time and a certain place for that. There are people who are just so in the dregs of addiction that Earl seems to kind of want to just not even mention it or push people onto that, because it would be better for him to just not. Not only does he mention Mike, he talks about, you know, how gentrification's a thing still. He basically says it in this really clever way. He says crackers piling up, taking the land, or like raping the land, I think he says. It reminds me of a song in which he said, gentrifies getting your turf hacked up, late nights thinking about who lied to me first. Has that same kind of vibe of, I'm like, I got one eye here, and I'm still, even though I'm working on myself, I still know that there's oppression for my fellow African Americans and other minorities. Like, he's still able to fit this within the realm of positivity, and it's kind of a cool way to say, like, I'm keeping my eyes on like all things, all fronts. Earl is mostly like trying to like still find those things of which to keep him from getting bogged down again. At the end of it all, Earl is focusing on what is a positive outlet. He talks about taking a shower and trying to refresh and like resetting and trying to do like, because sometimes for people who struggle with depression, they don't have the necessary energy, they don't feel like doing anything, not because they're lazy, but because it literally, like, they do not have the energy. And sometimes basic things such as taking a shower or brushing your teeth or eating food can just be the boost that they need. It's important to explain that something as basic as taking a shower does have a significant impact on someone who may struggle with depression. So with that being said, Earl, Navy Blue, BlackNoise, they all come together to bring us this wonderful song that's going to be coming off a equally, I hope, great album from Earl. And it's just great to see Earl in this new mindset. Overall, the Mint. Thank you, Earl. I'm glad to see you're doing better. I hope you're doing better. I don't know you personally, so I can't really say that you're doing better. I just hope that as a person you are enjoying life. Well, this guy says, although I am a burrito blanket right now, I can impart upon you some refreshing wisdom. Brushing your teeth is very important. Mints are delicious, and I personally employ mints to the point that I cash their checks, and I can't cash your check, but I wish for you to have a refreshing day with that refreshing fact of the day.